Peace and blessings to you all. This is a new day for you, and I am Dr. Raoul Richardson, thrilled, excited, and very delighted to have joining us today Ms. Elizabet Elliott, Executive Director of the Alabama Contemporary Arts Center. Now, Ms. Elliott is a remarkable, remarkable person, and I am grateful and blessed to know that intersectionality has afforded me the opportunity to call her my friend. So, Elizabeth, what's going on? How are you, lady?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
Well,
I'm
good.
happy
Well,
to
you look
be here.
fantastic. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to be seen.
Exactly. As compared to viewed is my line. All right.
Mhm.
So tell people, who is Elizabeth Elliott and why should they care?
I don't even know how to answer that question on a personal level other than I'm phenomenal. Um,
Amen. There it is.
I'll tell you about Alabama Contemporary Arts Center and how I got here. I joined Alabama Contemporary Arts Center, which, if you're a hardcore Mobilian, is also Space 301, is also Center for the Living Arts. We have had some identity crises and name changes to boot. But our current name, and we go by whatever you want to call us, is Alabama Contemporary Art Center. And it's the same building on Cathedral Square in downtown Mobile. And it is been around since 1999, always as a non-collecting contemporary art institution. And I came on in November of 2018 as the chief curator or director of exhibitions. I had about a year, late 2018 into 2019, to radically change the exhibition programming and our approach to curating shows before the board invited me to step into the role of executive director in January of 2020. 3 months before the shutdown. And without getting too much in the weeds of the history of the organization, we have been in a rebuilding phase through the pandemic, and a really unlikely rebuilding phase because nobody expected to grow through a global pandemic, a civil rights movement, and all the various ways the world has ended as we know it. What the organization had at the beginning of all of that was kind of a clean slate. And what that ended up being was a gift. It was a gift in our adaptability and our flexibility and our ability to sort of meet the community where they are, rechange and revamp a lot of our policies and our methodologies to meet the cultural moment. And that's the only thing I can sort of attribute our success to over the last 3 years. If you knew us pre-pandemic, you probably won't recognize a lot about what we do. A lot of people in the community, because we've done a lot of rebuilding of the organization through a global pandemic, we also didn't have a lot of eyes on us for a long period of time. And that honestly, that gave us some space to rebuild the organization. But if you haven't been here since 2018, the old model was one exhibition a year. And the new model that's been in effect since late 2019 is 10 to 12 exhibitions a year. We pull in about 40 different contemporary artists. We've got a geographic scope in our exhibition programming that is roughly 10% local, 40% regional, 40% national, 10% international. And so we're pulling artists and curatorial projects in internationally, rotating exhibitions out on a 3-month concurrent epic game of Tetris, and just now starting to reboot a lot of our public programming. We implemented wage certification standards in 2019 so that we pay artists fair rate for all of the creative labor that we touch. We never touch an artist of any discipline without paying them. And very much that's about setting a precedent for how we value artists in our community. And the geographic spread is also about integrating local and Southern artists into a national conversation, rather than siloing artists out and saying, "Oh, this is local. You can take it for granted, but this is fancy and from another place." You should never walk into Alabama Contemporary and really be able to tell who's a local artist and who's coming in from Japan or Puerto Rico. And that helps our sort of Southern voice make it into a national conversation, and helps sort of establish a real and meaningful opportunity for the artists that we're working with. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, listen, for those of you just joining us, you're listening to Executive Director of Alabama Contemporary Arts Center, my guest, Ms. Elizabet Elliott, here on A New Day for You, on Inspire You, on air, the new beat of the Bay. And you should have some real perspective having heard what she just said. And you know, I failed to even recognize the Andy Warhol acknowledgement, which is a very, very significant, substantial, stellar accomplishment on your part. And
Yes.
that's, well, okay, you want to say something about that?
So the Warhol Foundation has gotten behind us in actually two different aspects of our work. We get funding on that 10 to 12 exhibition a year program schedule from the National Endowment for the Arts, the Alabama State Council on the Arts, and the Andy Warhol Foundation. But they also, during the pandemic, kind of doubled down on us, and we joined the Regional Regranters program with the Warhol Foundation and became the only regional regranter in the state of Alabama. We partnered with two other organizations, Space 111 in Birmingham and Coleman Center for the Arts in York, Alabama, to adjudicate an artist fund that is money that goes directly to artists for non-traditional projects. So projects that sit outside of museums and gallery spaces. But it's a $7,000 grant. We send $60,000 at least out the door every year just through that regranting program. So that's usually about nine $7,000 artist grants that go to support even more creative and cultural production in the state. And so we've been incredibly lucky with Warhol and a lot of those national support funders that you know, are not just funding our exhibition programming, but funding, you know, other things that have even a larger impact on the state.
Wow. I tell you, that is absolutely tremendous. And I'm just so excited. And, you know, it's really interesting because I've been aware of Alabama Contemporary Arts Center when it was Space 301 and all the other names that you mentioned. But you mentioned some of the civil rights kind of social movement stuff that happened, and you know your play and role in that. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. But you know the fact of the matter is, you know, you guys were instrumental in the creation of the street mural of Black Lives Matter in the middle of all that was going on with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. And that has birthed a whole nother series of things. But before, we're not going to go BLACC today. What I do want people to know about is some of the things that you've got going on right now. Right now, for those of you that may not be aware, we've had a wonderful exhibition about baseball and some kind of art representative of some of the Africatown community. And on display is some of the soil from some of the lynching monument components. And listen, we need people to be aware of this entity existing in our community. We need to be aware of the fact that you're just a remarkable individual leading a remarkable organization with a remarkable team to do great things in our community that people need to get involved with. And the location is absolutely fabulous. And I'm grateful for all of that. But we need to continue to have this going on. We need more recognition, acknowledgement. We need to continue to pedestalize you and your team for all the great work you're doing. And we need to support it. So that being said, let's talk about all the things wild.
So we've got the Wild Things Ball. Before we go into the Wild Things Ball, I do want to say, and sort of response to everything you just sort of flew through with our exhibition schedule, you know, the job of artists is to speak truth to power.
Amen.
And we adamantly believe that art and cultural production, music, all of these things that we sort of produce tell us not only who we are as a community, but who we can become.
Amen.
And
Absolutely. I love that.
we just have the job of supporting that as adamantly and fervently as we possibly can. And that job is a huge privilege that I am just so grateful for. And 90% of what we're doing at Alabama Contemporary is, in contrast to most museums, is originating new work, is commissioning artists to make something that otherwise wouldn't exist, and to provide opportunities for work and artists who are under supported in you know, the art market or the art field in general, but also in museums and institutions, full stop. And you know, that's one reason to get excited about something like the Wild Things Ball. Now we're going to have 3 exhibitions that if you come next week, you will see. We've got an international artist, Elsa Melendez, is from Puerto Rico, and she has incredibly smart political fiber work that is sort of narrative, large scale embroidery, and
Wow.
dioramas. We have a thematic group exhibition through the Guest Curator program, which is a program that we're really proud of. About a third of our exhibitions come through the Guest Curator program. And the current one is Between the Snakes. And then we have an incredible solo exhibition by an artist named Brandon Dean. And Brandon Dean is a queer artist of color, born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama, who was told he needed to leave to make a career for himself because he was incredibly talented. And that's what so many Southern artists are told. And so he's currently based in Cleveland, Ohio, and he has
Wow.
incredible work that has never been shown in his home state.
Mm.
And part of that is the politics of his artist identity, and he makes work about that artist identity. And I do have to tell you that there's an adult content warning on the exhibition, but we could not be prouder to be giving him a venue. The idea that Alabama wouldn't be celebrating outright throwing parades for an artist that comes from here and is this talented, you know, we're just really proud of the exhibition and to be able to provide a venue for it, because it's one of those things about, you know, there are lots of practices that are under supported. His work is what we're decorating the Wild Things Ball around. And so you cannot come to the Wild Things Ball without being in and a part of that exhibition. It's existing painting and photography, but he also did his first 4-channel video installation that we built in the video gallery, and it is epic and
Wow.
really cool. And Wild Things Ball, a ticket is a membership. It's this is a racket. We are tricking you into becoming members. So you have to be a member to get a ticket to the Wild Things Ball,
Yeah.
and by design. But God, it's worth it. I mean, it's $35 a year. You get all kinds of discounts and education and programming that's specifically for you. But even if
Mm.
you just come to the party, God, it's worth it.
Oh wow. So listen, we've got the membership, we've got the tickets, we've got all these wonderful things. And where can they go to get all the details so they can be there? The date, the time, the location, all that stuff. I mean, you can tell them all of that because I know our loyal listeners here on Inspire You on Air, the New Beat of the Bay, are going to want to show out for this event and support Alabama Contemporary Arts Center and their remarkable Warhol recipient award winner, Ms. Elizabeth Elliott. So tell us what's the deal.
Okay, so it's going to be October 29th from 7 p.m. until 11 p.m. There is also likely to be a hosted after party, but those details are TBD.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be costume contests. There are going to be short fire dance competitions, and both of those things are going to come with a hefty amount of prizes that you can win. And so, along with buying your ticket and coming and enjoying an incredible party, you might just walk away with a ton more if you really put some elbow grease into those costumes. It's right before our Hallows Eve, so you're doing costume stuff already. You just, really get out the glitter and the tinsel, and you can win prizes. We are going to have a fleet of DJs as well as live performers. There's going to be a lot of entertainment. It's just going to be a really good time. And a few of you might have gone to 2019's Wild Things Ball. Was the first time we held it. And so if you did go, you already know. And I don't even need to tell you because it was such a great party. But if you didn't go, you really don't want to miss this.
That's my line right there. You don't want to miss this, folks. Get on to that Alabama Contemporary Arts Center site. Check them out wherever you can find them on social media platforms. Get your tickets now. If you're a corporate sponsor or if you're interested in a table, hit me up. Raul Richardson on Facebook, Raul Richardson on Instagram, or Dr. R.R. Richardson on Twitter. And I'm going to be broadcasting the heck out of this. And I'm telling you, it is not to be missed. I'm already rallying my crews to be down there, show up, show out, and get turned up and turned on and have a blast. So I'm thrilled and excited about it. Any closing thoughts you want to share, Ms. Elliott?
Just if you go to alabamacontemporary.org, you can click the support button right at the top and learn all about the Wild Things Ball and other ways to support our work. And get signed up on the newsletter. We're doing 10 to 12 exhibitions a year, which means most months we're mounting a new exhibition. And so in contrast to the past, you really do have to keep up with us. You're going to be hard pressed to come twice and see the same thing twice. So yeah, support your local artists however you can, and celebrate culture. Find ways to lift each other up.
Well, I tell you, that moving away from once a year installation to having so much going on in such rapid fire succession, there's only one adjective I can associate with what you've accomplished. That's hot. That's definitely hot, girl. I'm gonna tell you right now. And folks, art in our community is not just happening on the second Friday of the month. We've got stuff going on all the time, and you don't want to miss this. So listen, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being with us. To all our loyal listeners, visit them at alabamacontemporary.org and get ready for the wild things, because I know how much our listeners like to turn up and turn it on. Thank you so much for joining us. You don't move, Elizabeth. We're going to play some more dope music, some more slamming summertime jams, and we'll be right back.